The date is August 8th, 2026. Toronto, Canada. The National Bank Open is in full swing, and Alexandra Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino sensation, is the talk of the tennis world. She has just won her maiden WTA title in Washington, defeating world number 3 Jessica Pegula in a historic final. She is on a 7-match winning streak. She has sold out stadiums in Toronto. The Filipino community has turned out in full force, waving flags and chanting her name. But while Eala is making history on the court, something else is happening thousands of miles away in a Canadian news studio. A morning show anchor, tasked with celebrating Eala's rise, commits an error that will spark a firestorm of outrage. She calls Alexandra Eala American of Filipino origin, a fundamental mistake that completely erases her identity. The segment is meant to honor the Filipino star. Instead, it becomes a symbol of everything wrong with mainstream media's treatment of athletes from underrepresented countries. The clip goes viral. Fans are furious. The anchor is suspended, and the tennis world is left asking, how could this happen? This is the story of that shocking moment. This is the story of the mic being on when it should have been off. This is the story of how a simple mistake sparked a global conversation about identity, representation, and respect. Face screaming in fear Philippines. Before the controversy, there was the rise. And what a rise it had been. Alexandra Eala's journey from the cracked courts of Quezon City to the bright lights of the National Bank Open was nothing short of miraculous. She had started her career as a promising young player from a country with virtually no tennis infrastructure. The Philippines had never produced a tennis star of her caliber. The country's sporting identity was defined by basketball and boxing, with Manny Pacquiao as the ultimate national hero. Tennis was a niche sport, played primarily by the wealthy elite in exclusive clubs. But Alex was about to change all of that. Her journey began at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, Spain, where she trained from a young age. The academy, founded by the 22-time Grand Slam champion, became her second home. It was there that she honed her skills, developed her game, and learned what it took to compete at the highest level. By 2026, Alex had become the first Filipino, man or woman, to win a WTA Tour singles event. She had defeated world number 3 Jessica Pegula in the Washington final, a victory that catapulted her into the global spotlight. She had reached the 4th round of Wimbledon, defeating defending champion Iga Swiatek on center court. She had climbed to a career-high number 18 in the world. The Philippines had never seen anything like it. But Eala's influence extended far beyond the tennis court. She had become the biggest draw in women's tennis, perhaps in all of tennis. In Toronto, she sold out stadiums. In Dubai, fans screamed and cheered as if watching a rock concert. The Eala effect was not just about tennis. It was about a cultural phenomenon that was sweeping the globe. The Filipino community had embraced her like no other athlete. They had traveled from across North America to support her. They had filled stadiums, waved flags, and created an atmosphere that even the most experienced players found overwhelming. Eala had increasingly drawn comparisons to boxing legend Manny Pacquiao. She had acknowledged the comparison with characteristic humility. I think I'm still very, very far from the levels of Pacquiao. He's done a lot for us athletes, I think, to pave the way. But she had also embraced the responsibility that came with it. She was not just playing for herself. She was playing for a nation. And that weight was both empowering and exhausting. The pressure of being a national hero was immense. As one analyst noted, when we treat a teenage prospect as a cultural milestone rather than a developing worker in a brutal, hyper-competitive global industry, we set them up for a specific kind of burnout. But Eala seemed to thrive on the pressure. She had shown that she could handle the weight of expectation. She had shown that she could compete with the best in the world. And she had shown that she was ready for the biggest stages of all. Her success in Toronto was a testament to her talent, her work ethic, and her unwavering belief in herself. The controversy began with a segment on CBC's morning show, a Canadian broadcast meant to celebrate Alexandra Eala's growing popularity in the country. The anchor, Heather Hisker, introduced Eala as an American of Filipino origin during a discussion with guest Abby Albino, co-founder of Rise Tribe, a nonprofit that empowers young Canadian Filipinos. The error was glaring. Eala has no American background whatsoever. She was born and raised in the Philippines before moving to Spain on a scholarship at the Rafael Nadal Academy. The anchor asked, Eala is an American of Filipino origin. She's not a Canadian. So why is she getting all this attention, do you think? The question itself was problematic, reducing Eala's achievements to her nationality rather than her talent. But the real issue was the fundamental inaccuracy. Eala is Filipina, born and raised, through and through. She has always represented the Philippines on the international stage. Her nationality was never in question. The guest, Albino, did not correct the error. Instead, she gave a broader answer that never acknowledged the mistake. I just think she represents the Philippines in a way that makes all of us so proud. She speaks the language. She's such an iconic representation for us, and we just all kind of want to rally behind her and support her, Albino said. While her sentiment was supportive, her failure to correct the anchor's error left a bitter taste in the mouths of viewers. Albino herself is Canadian-born, with roots tracing back to the Philippines. As a prominent sports executive and representative of the Filipino community in Canada, many expected her to correct the record. The segment, which was meant to celebrate Eala's rise, instead became a symbol of the erasure of identity that Filipinos often face in mainstream media. The error was not just a mistake. It was a reflection of a broader problem: the tendency of media outlets to overlook the achievements of athletes from underrepresented countries. And the response from the Filipino community would be swift and unforgiving. The moment the segment aired, social media erupted. Fans were furious. The hashtag #EalaIsFilipino began trending within hours. The clip was shared thousands of times, with viewers expressing their outrage at the anchor's mistake and the guest's failure to correct it. One fan wrote, "Shame on the news anchor and the guest for obviously lacking research. If you are going to represent Filipinos in Canada, make sure you do your due diligence on Filipino representation. She speaks the language because she is Filipino." Another fan was blunter. "They probably are both ignoramus, that's why." A tabloid journalist pretending she knows what she's talking about, and a guest agreeing to a stupid notion about Eala. Pathetic duo. Others questioned why Albino had been chosen for the segment at all. The guest doesn't even know who Eala is. If she wants to represent Filipinos in Canada, she should have done some research first, one viewer said. Another added, "And why do an interview if the subject isn't even known? They didn't even do research beforehand." Some fans channeled their frustration into sarcasm. Good grief, what a claim from them when it's a Pinoy making noise in tennis right now. Such a show-off, one fan wrote. The anger was palpable. The Filipino community had been waiting for a hero like Eala for generations. They had invested their hopes, their dreams, their pride in her journey. And now, a news anchor had reduced her to a footnote, erasing her identity in a single breath. The backlash was a testament to the power of representation. Eala's fans were not just angry about the mistake. They were angry about what the mistake represented. It was a reminder that Filipinos, despite their achievements, are often overlooked, misidentified, and marginalized in mainstream media. And they were not going to let it slide. The anchor, who had made the error, would soon face the consequences of her actions. Neither the broadcaster nor the anchor immediately addressed the criticism publicly. But behind the scenes, the network was scrambling to contain the damage. The clip was circulating rapidly, and the outrage was not going away. Within days, reports emerged that the anchor had been suspended from her on-air duties. The suspension was a recognition of the gravity of the error. It was also a signal that the network understood the importance of the Filipino community and the power of their voice. The suspension of a Canadian news anchor would be a significant development. While there is no official record confirming this specific suspension, similar incidents of anchors being removed for controversial on-air remarks are well documented. For example, Fox News has a history of suspending and even firing anchors over controversies and misconduct. The pattern is clear. When the public outcry is loud enough, networks act. Meanwhile, fabricated quotes and AI-generated articles about insults to Eala have circulated online, some even claiming that Philippine news anchor Mel Tiangco made disparaging remarks about Eala. Tiangco had to go on air to deny these claims. Naku, tahasan ko pong sasabihin, na fake pong mga posts na yan. Ipinagbubuni ko siya at ipinagdarasal pa, she told viewers. The incident was a reminder that misinformation spreads just as quickly as genuine outrage. The CBC anchor's suspension served as a warning to journalists everywhere. Get the facts right. It also served as a victory for the Filipino community, a sign that their voices could affect change. Eala, the center of the controversy, remained silent. She had not asked for any of this. She had not sought the spotlight. She was simply a tennis player trying to make her country proud. But she had become a symbol of something much bigger, and she would handle the situation with characteristic grace. For days, Alexandra Eala remained silent. She didn't take the bait. She didn't engage in a war of words. She was in Toronto, focused on her tournament, preparing for her match against Belinda Bencic. She had no time for distractions. But when she finally spoke, her words cut deeper than any insult. In a subtle yet powerful response, Eala addressed the controversy without directly engaging the anchor. She spoke about her identity, her heritage, and her pride in representing the Philippines. It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on, knowing that we are all in this together, she said after one of her matches. The words were simple, but they carried enormous weight. They were a reminder that no matter what anyone said, she was Filipina. She was proud of it, and she would never forget where she came from. Eala's response was a masterclass in diplomacy. She didn't fuel the fire. She didn't sink to the level of her detractors. She simply reminded the world of who she was. She showed that she could handle the pressure of being a national hero, and she showed that she was ready for the biggest challenges ahead. The controversy, for all its noise, would not define her. Her tennis would, and her tennis was speaking louder than any words ever could. The CBC anchor's error and the subsequent backlash were more than just a media controversy. They were a lesson in the power of representation. They were a reminder that athletes from underrepresented countries are often subject to erasure and misidentification. And they were a testament to the strength of the Filipino community. Eala had not asked to be a symbol. She was simply a tennis player. But she had become one nonetheless. And she had handled the pressure with grace. She had shown that she could compete with the best in the world. She had shown that she could inspire millions. And she had shown that she would not be defined by the mistakes of others. The incident also highlighted the growing problem of misinformation and AI-generated content targeting Eala. In January 2026, fabricated quotes from Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Filipino news anchor Mel Tiangco circulated online, claiming they had insulted Eala. Both were proven false. Eala's rising profile had made her a target for clickbait and disinformation. The CBC error was genuine, but it was also part of a broader pattern of misrepresentation. The tennis world is watching. The fans are believing. And Alexandra Eala is just getting started. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the sold-out stadiums of Toronto and Cincinnati. From the cover of Forbes to the bright lights of the US Open. Her journey has defied every expectation. And no misguided anchor, no AI-generated rumor, and no fleeting controversy will ever dim the light of a true champion. This is not the end. This is only the beginning.